One standard year after humanity's return, the galaxy had transformed. First Commander Vectel stood at the observation deck of the New Terra Research Institute, watching ships from dozens of species coming and going through the quantum transit points that had replaced traditional spaceports. The massive structure floated in high orbit around Earth, humanity's newly revealed homeworld, serving as the central hub for the greatest technological and cultural exchange in galactic history. Still adjusting to the view, Admiral Chen asked, joining her at the window. In the past year, the human admiral had become both a friend and mentor to Vectel. "I don't think anyone has fully adjusted yet," Vectel replied, her crystalline form reflecting the light of Earth's sun. "A year ago, we thought we were facing extinction. Now," she gestured to the bustling activity around them. Below them, Earth had been transformed into a beacon of advanced civilization. The planet was surrounded by massive ring structures that housed research facilities, diplomatic quarters, and cultural exchange centers. Ships from every allied species moved through precisely choreographed patterns, their crews learning to operate with human-level efficiency. "The collective has been quiet," Chen noted, pulling up a holographic display showing the galaxy's outer regions. "Our deep space sensors show them regrouping, trying to understand what happened. They lost more than just a battle that day. They lost their aura of invincibility." "And the greater threat?" Vectel asked. "The one you showed the Council." Chen's expression grew serious, moving exactly as predicted. "We've established monitoring stations in every major galactic arm. Combined with allied species sensor networks, we now have unprecedented coverage of intergalactic space." A new group of ships caught Vectel's attention. Vessels that combined human quantum technology with unique aspects of various allied species engineering. The results were stunning. Crystalline hulls like her own species used, enhanced with human phase shift technology. Organic ships grown by the Xith, now incorporating quantum entanglement cores. "The integration programs are proceeding faster than we anticipated," Chen said, noting Vectel's interest in the hybrid vessels. "Your species' crystalline technology, when combined with our quantum manipulation abilities, has opened up entirely new avenues of research. The Xith's organic computing, merged with our temporal processors, is revolutionizing artificial intelligence development." "And the defense preparations." Chen activated another holographic display, showing the massive construction projects underway throughout Allied space. "On schedule. The first line of quantum defense platforms will be operational within 5 years. The Galactic Shield Network, something we never could have built alone, will be ready in 10. Vectel turned to face her human friend. "Why didn't you just give us the technology when you first detected the threat? Why wait 3 centuries? "Because technology alone isn't enough," Chen replied. "We needed to understand it completely. Perfect it. Learn its limitations and how to overcome them. If we had shared incomplete knowledge, it might have led to overconfidence, mistakes. Instead, we took the time to get it right." The display shifted to show educational facilities, where humans taught allied species the principles behind their advanced technology. It wasn't just information transfer, it was comprehensive understanding. Besides, Chen continued with a slight smile, "some of our greatest breakthroughs came from studying other species during our exile. Your crystalline technology inspired our quantum crystallization process. The Xith's organic computing gave us insights into consciousness-driven quantum states. We weren't just hiding, we were learning from everyone." A group of young officers, a mix of humans and various allied species, passed by, engaged in animated discussion about theoretical physics. This was becoming a common sight. The next generation of galactic defenders, learning and growing together. The Void Collective called themselves Infinite, Vectel mused, but they were just one type of infinity. Now we're creating something new, an infinity of perspectives, of approaches, of possibilities. Chen nodded. Exactly. The threat coming from intergalactic space might be vast, might even be infinite in its own way. but it will face something unprecedented. A galaxy united not just in purpose, but in understanding. Every species contributing its unique insights, its particular genius. Through the window, Earth's sun was setting, creating a spectacular display as its light refracted through the quantum field generators and crystalline structures surrounding the planet. But as one side of Earth fell into darkness, the other was already greeting the dawn. "That's what humanity learned in our exile," Chen said softly. "True strength isn't about having the most advanced technology or the largest fleet. It's about unity, understanding, the ability to face the unknown together." Vectel's crystalline form resonated with agreement. "So when this greater threat arrives, they'll find something they never expected," Chen finished. "Not just humanity's preparation, not just allied species technology, but a galaxy that has transcended its individual limitations. A civilization that combines the best of every species into something entirely new." The first stars were becoming visible as Earth's night side turned to face them. But these weren't just distant suns anymore. They were beacons of a new age, each one home to technologies and defenses that would have seemed impossible a year ago. Humanity had returned not as conquerors or saviors, but as teachers, partners, and friends. The galaxy was awakening to a new dawn, and whatever lurked in the darkness between galaxies would soon learn that infinity had many forms, and this galaxy had mastered them all. In the aftermath of the battle, the Allied Species Council convened an emergency session aboard humanity's flagship, the THS Hyperion. The council chamber was a marvel of human engineering, a space that seemed larger on the inside than should have been physically possible, with walls that shifted between transparent and opaque as needed. First Commander Vectel sat at the circular table alongside representatives from 16 other species, facing Admiral Chen and her command staff. The human officers stood with a quiet confidence that came from centuries of preparation for this very moment. "The Void Collective's retreat has been confirmed," Chen reported, gesturing to a holographic display that showed the enemy fleet's withdrawal vectors. "Our quantum tracking systems indicate they're attempting to regroup in the Carina Void. They won't find safety there. We mapped those regions centuries ago." "You knew they were coming," stated Council Elder Sith, his bioluminescent patterns flickering with realization. "This wasn't just preparation for a theoretical threat. You knew specifically about the collective." Chen nodded. "We detected their first incursions into this galaxy 400 years ago. Long-range quantum sensors we planted in the intergalactic void picked up their approach. That's what triggered our withdrawal. We knew we weren't ready to face them. Not then." The holographic display shifted, showing the vast network of hidden outposts and stations humanity had established during their exile. It was a web of surveillance and preparation that spanned not just the galaxy, but reached into the darkness between galaxies. Every abandoned human outpost, Chen continued, every derelict station we left behind. They were all monitoring points. We watched, we learned, we adapted. The collective thought they were invading an unprepared galaxy. In reality, they were walking into a trap 3 centuries in the making. "But your technology," Vectel interjected, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light. "The level of advancement you've achieved, it's beyond anything we thought possible." Commander Rodriguez stepped forward, activating a new holographic display. "We took different paths in our research. While most species focused on improving existing technologies, we asked fundamental questions about the nature of reality itself. What are the limits of quantum mechanics? Can time be manipulated as easily as space? Is consciousness a factor in physical laws?" The display showed studies of human research stations, installations built inside black holes, laboratories that existed partially in other dimensions, testing grounds that manipulated the very fabric of space-time. "We failed more times than we succeeded," Rodriguez admitted. "Lost entire research stations to experiments gone wrong. But each failure taught us something new. And we had time to experiment, to learn, to perfect. And now, asked Elder Sith. Will humanity withdraw again, return to their hidden realm beyond known space? Admiral Chen smiled, but there was a weight of responsibility in her expression. No, the time for hiding is over. The galaxy needs to be prepared for what's coming. What do you mean, what's coming? Vectal asked, her crystalline structure vibrating with concern. The chamber's lighting dimmed as Chen activated a new holographic display. This one showing the vast darkness between galaxies. The Void Collective we fought today. They're just the advance force. Our long-range sensors have detected something far larger approaching. We estimate it will reach our galaxy in approximately 50 years. The council members watched in silence as the display showed massive structures moving through intergalactic space, objects that dwarfed anything they had seen before, even humanity's impressive fleet. This is why we can't withdraw again, Chen explained. We need to prepare the entire galaxy, every species, every civilization. We all need to be ready. Humanity spent 3 centuries advancing on our own. Now we need to help everyone else catch up. You're offering to share your technology. Elder Sith's bioluminescence pulsed with surprise. Not just share it, Chen corrected. We're going to help you understand it. Improve it. The next 50 years will see the greatest technological renaissance in galactic history. Because what's coming, we'll need every species, every mind, every unique perspective to face it. Vectal looked around the chamber, at the faces of every species present. She saw the same realization dawning in all of them. This wasn't just the return of humanity. This was the beginning of something much larger. The Void Collective called themselves Infinite. Chen continued. They were wrong. But out there, in the darkness between galaxies, something is approaching that might actually live up to that claim. Humanity spent 3 centuries preparing to protect this galaxy. Now we need to prepare together. The holographic displays shifted again, showing plans for joint research stations, combined fleet operations, and technological integration protocols. Humanity hadn't just returned with advanced technology. They had returned with a complete plan for galactic cooperation and advancement. Welcome, Chen said, to the next stage of galactic evolution. We have 50 years to turn every species in this galaxy into something that even the infinite will fear. The void of space erupted with light as the human fleet initiated their coordinated assault. From her position on the Centauri defense grid, Zara Vectal watched in amazement as ships larger than cities moved with the precision of fighter craft. The Void Collective vessels, still trapped in temporal distortion fields, could only watch as humanity demonstrated 3 centuries of military evolution. Multiple quantum signatures detected, reported Admiral Chen's voice across the command channel. The collective is attempting to bring in reinforcements, exactly as expected. New tiers in space appeared as Void Collective reinforcements arrived, hundreds of their shadow vessels emerging from quantum space. They moved to surround the human fleet, their liquid dark hulls rippling with barely contained energy. Your species will be erased, came the first direct communication from the collective, broadcast on all frequencies. Their voice was a chorus of discordant tones that made Zora's crystalline form vibrate uncomfortably. Your technology is impressive, but we are endless. We are infinite. We cannot be stopped. Admiral Chen's response was calm, almost amused. Interesting theory. Let's test it. All ships, execute Constellation Protocol. The human vessels began to move in what appeared to be random directions, but Zara's tactical training told her this was anything but random. Their movements were precise, calculated, forming a complex 3-dimensional pattern in space. What are they doing? Krell asked, his mandibles clicking rapidly. Before Zara could respond, space itself seemed to change. The area between the human ships began to glow with a web of energy, forming geometric patterns that her sensors couldn't properly analyze. The Void Collective ships suddenly found themselves trapped within this massive energy matrix. You claim to be endless. Admiral Chen's voice carried across all channels. We spent 50 years studying the concept of infinity. Here's what we learned. The energy web began to pulse, and where it touched the collective vessels, their shadow stuff hulls began to break down at a fundamental level. It wasn't an explosion or destruction. It was more like they were being unwritten from reality itself. Quantum entanglement cascade, Chen explained, as if giving a lecture. Your ships exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. That's how you phase through conventional defenses. We simply collapsed all possible quantum states into one. Specifically, the state of non-existence. Zara watched as void collective ships began to simply cease being, their matter and energy dispersing into harmless radiation. The remaining collective vessels attempted to retreat, but found themselves caught in the same temporal distortion fields as their companions. Battle Group Omega, Chen commanded, deploy the synchronicity drives. New systems activated across the human fleet. Zara's sensors registered impossible readings as space itself began to resonate with some kind of harmonic frequency. The human ships moved in perfect synchronization, their movements creating interference patterns in the fabric of reality. 3 centuries ago, Chen continued, we discovered that space-time itself has a resonant frequency. Everything does. Find that frequency, match it, and you can do remarkable things. The synchronized movements of the human fleet created waves of energy that rippled through space. Where these waves intersected with void collective vessels, the ship's phase technology began to fail. Their liquid shadow hulls solidified, becoming vulnerable to conventional weapons for the first time. All Allied forces, Chen broadcast, your weapons will be effective now. We've locked them into normal space. They're all yours. The remaining Allied ships didn't hesitate. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes struck the now solid collective vessels, tearing through their suddenly conventional hulls. Ships that had seemed invincible mere hours ago were now falling to standard military weaponry. Impossible, the collective's chorus voice broadcast again, but this time there was a note of fear in the discordant tones. You cannot comprehend our power. We have consumed galaxies. And we, Chen replied, have spent 300 years learning how to digest them. Battle Group Delta, demonstrate our gravity lance technology. A group of human ships aligned themselves into a precise formation. Energy began to flow between them, condensing into a single point of brilliant light. What emerged was a beam of pure gravitational force, a weapon that didn't so much destroy its targets as it crushed them into singularities. The remaining collective ships began to break formation, attempting to retreat in any direction possible. But the human fleet's energy web had them completely contained. There would be no escape. Here's what humanity learned during our exile, Chen announced, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. We learned that there is no such thing as an unstoppable force. No such thing as an invincible enemy. There are only problems waiting to be solved. And humanity, we've gotten very, very good at solving problems. The battle continued, but it was no longer a battle. It was a symphony of advanced technology and tactical precision, with humanity conducting an orchestra of destruction against an enemy that had never expected to find its match. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the HFY Hyperion, watching as her fleet engaged the void collective forces. 300 years of preparation had culminated in this moment, and she couldn't help but feel a surge of pride as humanity's technological superiority became evident. All ships reporting optimal performance, her XO, Commander David Rodriguez, reported. The collective's phase weapons are completely ineffective against our quantum barrier fields. Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The void collective ships were attempting to regroup, clearly thrown off balance by encountering defenses they couldn't penetrate. They had grown accustomed to being the most advanced force in the galaxy. That advantage had just evaporated. Open a channel to the Centauri defense grid, she ordered. The face of First Commander Vectel appeared on the main screen, her crystalline features reflecting a mix of awe and confusion. First Commander, Sarah greeted her. I imagine you have questions. Several thousand, Vectel replied. But perhaps we should focus on the immediate tactical situation first. Sarah smiled. A practical approach. We've already analyzed your refugee evacuation protocols. With your permission, we'd like to deploy our mass transport systems. We can have your civilian ships safely beyond the combat zone in under 30 minutes. Vexel's expression shifted to one of disbelief. 30 minutes? That's impossible. The jump gates can't process. We don't use jump gates anymore, Sarah interrupted gently. Not in the way you understand them. As if to demonstrate, one of the smaller human vessels, still larger than any Allied ship, moved into position near a cluster of refugee ships. A field of blue-white energy expanded from the human vessel, enveloping dozens of civilian craft. In an instant, they vanished, reappearing safely at their designated evacuation coordinates hundreds of light-years away. How? Vectel began. Quantum entanglement transit, Sarah explained. We developed it about a century ago. No gates required. Just synchronized quantum fields and a lot of processing power. The tactical display updated, showing the Void Collective fleet attempting to prevent further evacuations. Their ships accelerated toward the refugee clusters, weapons charging. Sarah's expression hardened. Enough of this. Battle Group Theta, execute containment pattern Sierra. Show them why we spent 50 years developing temporal anchor technology. Multiple human vessels activated their specialized systems. The space around the advancing collective ships distorted, and suddenly their movements became sluggish, as if they were trying to fly through thick liquid. Localized time dilation fields, Sarah explained to Vectel. They're experiencing time at roughly 1/10 the normal rate. It gives us plenty of opportunity to complete the evacuation without further interference. Vectel's crystalline features shifted in what Sarah's neural translator identified as an expression of amazement. 300 years ago, your species vanished after a devastating defeat. The historical records say exactly what we wanted them to say. Sarah interrupted. Humanity wasn't defeated. We chose to disappear. On the tactical display, more refugee ships vanished to safety as the human fleet maintained their protective formation. Sarah continued, our analysts had projected that our technology base wouldn't be sufficient to protect humanity's interests in the long term. We were advancing quickly, yes, but we could see the pattern. Eventually, we would encounter a species so far beyond us technologically that we wouldn't stand a chance. Like the Void Collective. So you, what? Faked your own extinction. We implemented the return protocol. Sarah corrected. A strategic withdrawal from known space. We took everything. Our ships, our technology, our people. We left just enough evidence to suggest a desperate last stand and a species on the brink of annihilation. Then we vanished into unexplored space, beyond the rim of known galaxy. The last group of refugee ships disappeared to safety as Sarah spoke. The Void Collective vessels remained trapped in their time dilation fields, their weapons fire moving so slowly it was barely perceptible. For 3 centuries, we focused entirely on advancement. No diplomacy to maintain, no borders to defend, no trade routes to protect. Just pure technological development. We built research stations in the cores of dead stars. We constructed shipyards in pocket dimensions. We learned to manipulate time, space, and reality itself. Sarah's eyes narrowed as she looked at the trapped collective ships. We knew someday we would encounter an enemy that threatened not just humanity, but all sentient life. So we prepared. Everything you're seeing. Our ships, our weapons, our defenses. This is the result of 300 years of single-minded dedication to one goal. Being ready when we were needed most. The tactical display showed the remaining refugee ships reaching safety. Sarah straightened her uniform and turned her full attention to the trapped Void Collective fleet. And now, she said, her voice carrying the weight of 3 centuries of preparation, we're going to show them exactly what humanity has become. The Centauri defense grid shuddered as another wave of dark energy torpedoes impacted its weakening shields. First Commander Zara Vectel steadied herself against her command console, her crystalline skin reflecting the emergency lights that bathed the control center in crimson. The Void Collective's assault had lasted 17 cycles without pause, and now the last major defensive position of the Allied Species Confederation was about to fall. Shield integrity at 12%, reported Technical Officer Renshi, his tentacles working frantically across multiple holographic interfaces. We can't redistribute power fast enough to compensate for the damage. Zara watched through the reinforced viewport as another Allied cruiser succumbed to the Collective's relentless barrage. The ship's hull cracked like an egg, spilling its crew into the cold vacuum. The Void Collective vessels, if they could even be called vessels, moved like liquid shadow through space, their surfaces seeming to absorb both light and hope. Status of the civilian evacuation, Zara demanded, though she dreaded the answer. 342 refugee ships still in queue, her second-in-command Kral answered, his mandibles clicking with anxiety. The jump gates can't process them fast enough. We need at least another 6 hours to complete the evacuation. They didn't have 6 hours. They barely had 6 minutes. The Void Collective had emerged from unknown space 2 years ago, bringing with them technologies that defied conventional physics. Their weapons phased through standard shields, their hulls repaired themselves, and their drives left tears in space-time itself. The Allied Species Confederation, a union of 17 spacefaring civilizations, had thrown everything they had at the invaders. Nothing worked. Commander, the sensor operator's voice cut through the din of battle stations. I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the restricted zone. Zara's head snapped toward the mention of that region of space. The restricted zone, a massive sector that had been declared off-limits by mutual agreement of all Allied species over 3 centuries ago. The zone where humanity had made its last stand before vanishing from the galaxy entirely. Specify, she ordered, moving to the sensor station. Multiple quantum fluctuations, similar to jump signatures but orders of magnitude more powerful. They're everywhere. Hundreds of them. Through the viewport, space itself seemed to twist. Points of light appeared, first dozens, then hundreds, expanding into massive tiers in reality. From these ruptures emerged ships. No, not ships, but leviathans of metal and energy that dwarfed even the largest Allied dreadnoughts. Their hulls gleamed with an impossible metal that seemed to shift colors as Zara watched, and energy coursed through visible channels along their surface like rivers of light. The largest of these vessels, easily 20 kilometers from bow to stern, moved with impossible grace for its size. Along its hull, in characters that automatically translated themselves into every known language, glowed the words, THFY Terran Liberation Fleet. The Allied Command Center fell silent as a transmission cut through all frequencies, broadcasting in perfect galactic standard. To all Allied species forces, maintain your positions. To the Void Collective, you faced the children of Earth. We did not vanish. We did not die. We prepared. You have 1 standard hour to retreat from Allied space, or we will show you exactly what humanity has learned in 3 centuries of isolation. Zara felt her crystalline skin vibrate with a strange energy as the human vessels took up defensive positions around the refugee fleet. She had grown up hearing stories about humanity, their incredible adaptability, their endless drive to improve, their infamous ability to turn defeat into opportunity. But they were supposed to be extinct, another victim of the harsh realities of space. The Void Collective ships reoriented toward this new threat, their liquid shadow hulls rippling with dark energy. They launched their phase torpedoes, the weapons that no known shield could stop. The torpedoes simply vanished on contact with the human vessel's defenses. Interesting approach. Came the human transmission again, almost casual in its delivery. We figured out how to counter that particular physics trick about 200 years ago. Would you like to see what we developed in response? The human fleet's response was devastating in its precision. Beams of coherent light that somehow bent around their own allies struck the Void Collective ships, bypassing their supposedly impenetrable defenses. Where the beams touched, the shadow stuff of the Collective's hulls simply ceased to exist, leaving clean holes through their vessels. As Zara watched the battle unfold, she understood that she was witnessing more than just the return of a lost species. This was the revelation of the greatest strategic deception in galactic history. Humanity hadn't been defeated 3 centuries ago. They had simply decided the game wasn't worth playing yet. They had withdrawn, hidden, prepared, and now they had returned with technologies that made their previous capabilities look primitive by comparison. The battle that had seemed hopeless mere minutes ago was transforming into something else entirely. And as the first Void Collective ships began to retreat, Zara realized that the galaxy would never be the same again.